Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my wonderful Liberians at home and abroad. You are welcome to another edition of Liberia Rising with Sam-Abel Gbinsay. Today's leadership quote is by Father Theodore M. Herzberg. Father Herzberg said, "The very essence of leadership is that you have to have vision. You can't blow on uncertain trumpet. The very essence of leadership is that you have to have vision and you can't blow on uncertain trumpet." Today, I want to talk about leadership and purpose. Leadership and purpose, which is very much important for every one of us who find ourselves in position of leadership, be it pastoral leadership and social leadership, political leadership, wherever you find yourself in any sector of the society. Leadership, purpose is very important. You got to ask yourself, why do I exist as a leader? Why am I here as a leader? What do I do as a leader? And what would I be remembered for as a leader? The answer to these questions define your leadership purpose. Esther chapter 4 verse 14. If you keep quiet at a time like this, deliverance and relief for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your relatives will die. Who knows if perhaps you were made queen for just such a time as this. This is a critical time in the history of Israel, and they've been threatened to be destroyed, to be wiped out by the entire nation, to be wiped out by an evil enemy. I don't want to go into the details of the story, but Mordecai goes to his niece that was brought up by him, and she's now in the position serving as a queen. We'll call her the first lady today. You say, if you keep quiet about the destruction that is about to take place, if you keep quiet about the corruption, if you keep quiet about the humiliation, if you keep quiet about the depression, the oppression, the persecution that the people are going through, if you keep quiet, help may come from another place. God will find another place. But it might just be the purpose why you are queen at this time. Who knows, perhaps you became queen for such a time. Who knows, perhaps you became the president for just such a time. Who knows, perhaps you became the vice president for just such a time. Who knows, perhaps you became chief justice for just such a time. Who knows, perhaps you became director of police for just such a time. Who knows, perhaps you became justice minister for just such a time. For just a time that you will stand up for the rights of the people, you will stand up for truth, you will stand up for justice. Who knows, perhaps you became representative and senator for just such a time. Who knows, perhaps you are that minister for just such a time, that executive director, managing director. Who knows, perhaps for just such a time. If you keep quiet to the corruption, to the social injustice. Who knows, perhaps you begin that influential pastor, bishop for just such a time. Who knows, perhaps you begin connected to the president for just such a time, and not to sell out, but to speak truth to power. Because you see, a friend is a friend when they can see you and say things that will hurt you, but that will save you tomorrow. Who knows? That's what Mordecai said to Esther. Esther, this might just be the time that God had you for. Your leadership in the mind of God had a purpose. You didn't qualify. You are not the best. You are a stranger. You are a foreigner. But God had it arranged. God had it divinely planned. Who knows, perhaps you are the president pro tempore for just such a time. Who knows, perhaps you are that university president for just such a time. You are the marketing president. Marketing association president. You are the leader of that political party for just such a time. For such a time. Not for you, for such a time. That's why in order to understand leadership purpose, you need to understand the timing and seasons. Because you see, it's only with understanding of what you were made to achieve that you can have values that are worth dying for and also worth living for. If you understand the purpose of why you are here, what do I do? You can have value that are worth sacrificing for, that are worth sticking out your life for, and your everything, that are worth sweating and bleeding for. People sweat for nothing, bleed for nothing, sacrifice for nothing because they don't have values to protect, because they don't have purpose. People are just existing and surviving. As leaders, you don't exist and survive. You rise up, you take positions and places and authority to fulfill purpose. Because you see, your purpose is God's will for you to your generation. Your purpose is God's will for you to your generation. Am I speaking to Liberians today, to leaders? Acts 13:22 says something. But God removed Saul and replaced him with David. But God removed Saul and replaced him with David, a man about whom God said, I have found David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart. He will do everything I want him to do. How many of you can sit in your office behind your desk every morning and say it's a privilege that I'm here? I can only imagine how many people were disqualified, how many people were denied the opportunity that I have. But rather, we carry this boisterous spirit, and we're so braggadocious, and we feel like I got the best credentials, I qualify, I went to this school. Beloved, it's not about this school or that school. It's about this time and the purpose. God placed you there. God knows that you have an attitude for this time and this season. But because you don't understand that there is a purpose, so you sell out. So you violate your lifestyle, your character. So you accommodate and accept the very things you once stood against. He said, I have rejected Saul and chosen David. He will do everything I want him to do. That was the purpose he was chosen. Not to go after Saul's family, not to retaliate, not to prove a point, not for retribution, but to reconcile and bring peace and stability to the nation. That's why he was called Israel's greatest king ever. Even though he's a shepherd boy, he comes from being an armor bearer to Saul. He never undermined Saul. He didn't ridicule Saul. Do you know that you are in that position you find yourself in for purpose? Just think about it. Just think about it. Look at the background you come from. Think about it. You didn't qualify like me. I always tell people, I didn't qualify to be a pastor. I didn't qualify to have the wealth I have. People never qualify me. I didn't qualify. From social status, from family background, I didn't qualify for anything. Even the privileges that I have today, I'm so grateful. That's why every day I continue to be humble. I say, God, help me stay in purpose. Because there has to be a purpose to pastor the church I pastor. All my leaders are people who they are older than me. All my leaders, but they respect me and I respect them. There has to be a purpose that these people look up to me as a father. Not to abuse them and take advantage of them. A purpose. In 2014, God spoke to me that Mr. Weah was going to be president. Actually, 2014, January. He was going to be the next president after Madame Salih. And I shared that with some friends and other people, in the spiritual cycle. But because we're not well known, people, they didn't take us serious. They didn't take us serious. People, brush us off. But then God had a purpose for that. Because you see, when God speaks, he's already taught. When he thinks, it is already done. He said he was going to give us Mr. Weah as the next president to teach Liberians leadership lessons, because we don't respect leadership. We don't even appreciate leadership. We don't even understand leadership and purpose. But after we shall have learned the leadership lesson in 2023, he's going to give us a new Liberia, a Liberia Rising. That's why I came up with the channel, Liberia Rising. But my fear is, are we learning the leadership lesson? Are we? Or they have a leadership power now? Do they really understand that they had a purpose? That they are an instrument of God for the purpose. And sometimes the purpose can be wrong. But if you understand that it's going to leave a legacy on my family, or some purposes can be for punishment on yourself and your generation, you can shift the ties around and tell God, no, that's not what I want to be remembered for. That's not what I want to be remembered for. I don't want to be used to fulfill bad prophecies. God sent the prophet to Hezekiah said, go and tell the man of God he will die. And when Hezekiah got the news, he went back to God. And God sent the very prophet, said, go back to him and tell him I gave him 15 more years. Covenant and shifting. Even though I said he would die, but because he shifted, he repositioned himself to align himself with my covenant. I allow him his chance. Do our leaders, our senators, our representatives, do they know they are in position for such a time as this? But they keep him quiet, turning blind eyes to the situations. David didn't disappoint God with regards to purpose, despite his own flaws. Look at what it says in Acts 13:36. For after David had done the will of God in his own generation, another translation says after he had served the will of God in his own generation, he died and was buried with his ancestors and his body decayed. Beloved, by the passage of time, you will soon be history. What will you be remembered for? Purpose. What did you do? Did you serve the will of God to your own generation? Did you reconcile your nation in time like this after war? Or were you so vindictive and arrogant? All you did was incite people to violence and hate. We got leaders in places, all they can do, take advantage of the younger generation and incite them to hate one another. Where are we heading? Perhaps you happen to be a party chairman, a political leader for such a time as this. Do you understand the time and season and your purpose? Mordecai understood his purpose as a critical time in Israel history. In Esther 10 verse 30, see what it says. Mordecai, the Jews, became the prime minister with authority next to that of King Hezekiah himself. He was very great among the Jews who he had been in high esteem because he continued to work for the good of his people and to seek their welfare. He continued to work for their good and for their welfare, not against them, not to seek personal praises. Liberal rising works only when we begin to understand leadership and purpose. God bless you. Have a blessed day. If this video has been a blessing to you, inspiration to you, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe, or leave a comment. Bye-bye.